All right, race fans, here we go. We got some big track action here tonight after coming from a short track last week here for the Clean Racing League ARCA Series presented by Jacob's Grant's Designs here tonight. And it ought to be a good one because we got Michigan on board here. And Michigan, we was just sitting here talking with Altus, and it's a big track, big field. We've been talking about these ARCA cars, and I'm learning a lot about the ARCA cars because I didn't follow them, or I don't follow them very often in real life. I follow more maybe the Cup Series, or look into the Truck or the Xfinity, but I don't really look into the ARCA Series. So learning a lot about what these cars are, what they can do, and one thing me and Altus up here was talking about was a lot of times with them having less horsepower and the way these cars are set up with such downforce, probably going to be tight. We'll have to see tonight. What's your thought on that one?
Yeah, I think you're going to hit the nail on the head there, Joe. The polar opposite of what we came from last week with that little half mile, track, mile of mayhem, as you want to call it, at Martinsville. Half mile mayhem, I guess, at Martinsville Speedway, and now we're off to a much bigger track here at Michigan, 2-mile track. So I love Michigan. Auto Club is actually one of my favorite tracks, and this is kind of a sister track to Auto Club, RIP Auto Club. But yeah, I think you're right. I think handling's going to be a big issue. I think it's going to be really important to try to keep that right front on there if you're going to have success tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. And, I reference Auto Club a lot because a lot of big tracks have that Auto Club effect where track position is king. Not saying that tires aren't, important, but there's only very few tracks. And matter of fact, I think it was just this past Monday, maybe one of the tracks there, that tires matter. A lot of the tracks on iRacing, and then even in real life, they're a little bit faster, maybe a tenth and a half or so, but that's not enough to come through the field, if you're marred back in traffic or whatnot. So it takes me back to that Auto Club effect, so to speak. Your track position is king. I've seen it a million of times, Altus, that guys make 2 tire stops late and are able to hold off guys that you think, well, man, they've got like 25 lap newer tires. They're going to come up there and just blow by them, and they never do.
What's funny, Joe, is I think a lot of it is circumstantial. I think you're right, and I think it's both, to be honest with you. I know you like to use the phrase like coming through the field like gangbusters. That's a lot of times. You can tell I've listened to a lot of the broadcasts, Joe. But that's some of these places, tires do make a really big difference. But like referencing the short track at North Wilkesboro, what we just came from, if you could restart, 10th place, 12th, maybe like right outside the top 10, you could really kind of, I referenced like Ricky Harden early in that race. He was able to be patient and kind of pick his way through. And, we all took note of that because we were like, okay, well, tires do mean a little something, but if you line up 28th with new tires, then you're right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really hard to drive all the way through the field and get to the front, but you might be able to drive up to the top 10. So I think there's kind of a range, right, where you have to make that decision if it's going to be worth it or not, if that made sense. So.
And it does, absolutely. And like what I've actually done some referencing on that, like go back and make those pit stops, and I talk about, well, what is the point of where it's beneficial to make that pit stop. And like what you just said, if a guy stays out, let's say the leader opts to stay out, and everybody else is on 25, 30 lap newer tires, if he has at least, I'm going to say 8 to 10 cars, like you said, and there's only, let's say, 10 laps to go or whatnot, it might be a good decision for the leader because those guys have got to come through the field. But there again, run into that time talk and all, and hey, we might have to see tonight here and see what Michigan brings about. As we got qualifying, and right now, man, Jacob Grant, last week, man, crusher for him. Out front leading, and then got a penalty and had to go in, and the race was over for him.
Yeah, that was that was definitely a tough one. Jacob Grant's done a really good job with this league so far. Only what's this, race 3 of the
Yeah.
season? So we're really fresh into this league. But Jacob Grant's a veteran in CRL, and I've raced with him for almost 5 years, which is hard to believe. And he certainly knows what he's doing. And anytime that you're kind of running your own series, you definitely want to come out and show out and do a really good job. So I expect he's certainly going to be one to watch tonight. And I would not be surprised one bit to see Jacob get a victory lane tonight.
No doubt about it. Well, right now, looking pretty good. Qualifying out here. Give a good shout out to some of the sponsors as we've got the Michigan 170. Got to appreciate, man, Danny White out there sponsoring the race for us here tonight. But as always, man, Grant's Designs putting it on the show for us here for the ARCA Series here. Got some other awesome sponsors, Ghost Athletics, Grant's Design, CRL Podcast. Check them out on Spotify and YouTube. SimRacingMerc.com. Hey, if you go check out SimRacingMerc.com, use the promo code CRL2025, a CRL2025. Get some a little bit off, man, on your purchase. It'll help you out a little bit. And then we obviously got our green flag starts here for Platinum Service VA. So a host of great sponsors. You just mentioned it there, Altus. Jacob has done an outstanding job with the series. It's a new series here for Clean Racing. The truck series around for a very long time. Season 23, and you had a pretty good race this past week here at on the truck series.
Man, I tell you what, that was wild. I was looking at some past notes, and I'd sat on the pole there last year and won the race, and since switching over to this wheel, this direct drive, it's been a challenge, and I got little to no practice time, completely botched my qualifying, and started almost in the back of the field, and just managed to pick my way through and came home P2. So we were one spot short of the win. Old Lan Hostler, man, don't want to let him get momentum going. We know what he can do. So, but yeah, man, it was fun to get a good. I'm trying to get all these points all I can, Joe. After missing Daytona, I got some work to do to get back up there. So,
absolutely. Well, let's grid these guys up here tonight, man. SimRacingMercs.com. Let's get the starting grid out here. Just the man, we talked about it last week, had a little bit of trouble. He looked like he was the man. Jacob Grant's going to be out front. Seth Fowley's going to start there in second. Bradley Murphy going to start her up in third. We got Judson
Curtis, yep.
Curtis right there sitting in fourth. Dusty Martin sitting in fifth. Daniel
Miller, yep.
A small screen. Sitting in sixth. We got Tanner Honeycutt starting at seventh. Caleb Smith there in the eighth. We got David Brzezinski. We tried to say that last week.
Yeah, Brzezinski. Yeah, we'll have to check
on
that one.
David B. We'll leave it at ninth. Abram Ghost starting in 10th. Joshua Gillian there in 11th. We got a Wayne Chapman starting up there in 12th. Zachary Fowdy, he's going to start 13th. Jamie L., he's going to be there in the 14th. We got Joe Spinelli starting 15th. Danny White, and sponsoring us tonight there starting 16th. Joseph Muskie.
That would be Unuckus.
Unuckus,
yes,
okay. I must look at that. I got him up there. Yep. Unuckus. Up there, man. Good guy. We're starting in the 17th spot. We got Steve
Rubino.
I'll get some of these names, man, down pat. I'm gonna tell you what, guys, you're gonna have to get with me.
We got some tough names tonight.
Yeah, you got to get with me, guys, on some of these names. I apologize, but we'll just say Stephen Rube out there starting at 18th. Edwin Warren starting at 19th. Jonathan Geist, he's starting at 20th. Chris Smith, he's had a good start to the ARCA Series there, winning the first one, starting 21st. Daniel Rubion, he's up in 22nd. Kenyon Jackson in 23rd, and Bobby Mantle, he's starting in the 24th spot. So good-looking field, good-looking one. I apologize on some of the names, folks, man. Get with me on it. I do see out there, appreciate everybody out there. Barbara, how you doing? I know you're pulling for Steve and Dan, so I'm going to say that they're related, maybe brothers or father-son. I've seen that before out there. So awesome to see. What's up, Ann? How you doing? Dan and Steve got a fan club there, Altus.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what's really cool, Joe? Just I was listening to you read some of those names. We got a lot of new names too, and that's what's really cool, man, about this league and just CRL in general. It's all about that was kind of Jacob's vision and starting this league is to kind of give a bunch of new guys an opportunity to see what CRL is all about and try to work their way up to the Truck Series, which is our premier series. So really cool to see a bunch of new guys out here, and we'll see maybe we've got a rising star out here that we don't know of yet. So
well, let me get this right out there, Ann. I'm gonna try. That's up to the Rubino. Is that maybe close? Rubino, maybe. Typed it out there. I'm trying to see. One of those letters might be silent. Rubino, yeah, Rubino. Yeah, Rubino.
That's what I'm going with, Joe. I'm going to go with Rubino until I'm correct.
Right. Well, let's get set here because we're going green with Platinum Service V8 green flag. Pace cars in. We got Michigan style racing here. Big track field, 2-mile track here. ARCA Series tonight. The green flag's about to fly. Jacob Grant Company's going to bring them to the line.
Jacob Grant's going to get the whole show.
Oh, it's Rubino.
Rubino, okay.
That's what, so she Biano. Or it could be Biano. Hey, we'll get it, Ann. We'll either get up one of these guys in here. Brothers, okay, awesome. Right now, good start for these guys out front.
Yeah, Seth Fowdy got a really good start with Jacob Grant there on the outside, so we'll see who can surge ahead and take control of this race early.
Yeah, I think this is what we're going to see right here, Aldous, man. These two guys, or a lot of the field out here, just going to be stuck kind of nose to tail. It's just almost going to be like a mini Daytona. Yes, they'll probably get spread out if you get some long green flag runs.
Big push from Judson Curtis to get Seth Fowdy out front here, Joe.
See that. Right now, 3 wide, you can do it here. This track, man, is wide enough to do it. Don't know if it's going to benefit you too much. Boom, into the wall. Oh, reckon.
Oh, we got trouble.
Yes, we do. We got cars everywhere.
Oh, big hit. That is the 18 of Bradley Murphy.
It started with him, so let's go back and watch.
Is that Spinelli in it as well, the 86?
Now let's go back
let's go Spinelli.
One of them cars got loose back there or something.
Yeah, I think it was the 8, Joe. It looked like the 8 of maybe Daniel Miller. Maybe he got in the wall a little bit.
Yeah, he did. I saw that. Yeah, the yellow might just bounced off. A ricochet effect. You see the 18 right there. That's what we're watching. Murphy. He took a wild ride. You see the 18 bounce the wall, and then from there, nothing they could do. Murphy just got clipped. Boom.
It's one of those chain reaction type of wrecks.
Else got it.
Man.
Else we got
Can we ride on board possibly with maybe Caleb Smith in the 54? I'm curious to see what. I'm wondering if Caleb. I think Caleb may have gotten in the back there of Murphy when everyone was kind of checking up there. Yes, sir. There you go.
Looks like here. Well,
so let's ride
the 8 got into the wall, so I don't know. Caleb was really nowhere he could go. He's got that run coming on there with the draft.
Yeah, I think the 8 gets on the wall, and everyone kind of gets checked up, and I think he just maybe got in the back of the 18 a little bit.
Yeah, he just kind of
coming up to right here.
I think it's just basically him just tried to slow up. He tried to get out of the way, and then he just clipped him. And there's nothing he can do in a situation like that. That's just one of the deals. You kind of like, man, I'm trying to get out of the way. I don't want to wreck myself. So it's unfortunate. Tore up some cars, and I've mentioned this a couple times, Altus, and I like it. It's kind of a double-edged sword here. Talk about league. I like the no fast fix type thing. I know get involved with stuff kind of sucks as a driver, but man, I like it.
Oh yeah, I agree. I've been a part of leads that have had a fast repair in the past, and what's nice about the fast repair is when it's situations that are unrealistic, like when you run into net code or anything that's kind of glitchy sometimes, which doesn't happen often, but sometimes you'll get a little bit of a bad connection and those type of things. It's nice to kind of have a reset, but I do like the realism it brings by not having a fast repair, and it makes you really think about the moves and putting yourself in certain situations. And even though this is a simulator and a game, but to make it as realistic as possible, it's good to just think about the situation you're in, and I think there's something to be said about taking care of your equipment and taking care of your car to get to the finish.
Oh yeah, and you just brought that up too, and I've said it myself. Is I've seen some wild stuff over the years, and there's some things you just can't control, like you said, power outages, Mother Nature, internet, et cetera, and it's affected me on the broadcast too. But I'm gonna tell you what, Altus, it is frustrating because I have seen guys lose races, have like 3-second leads coming out of turn 4, and then all of a sudden they just blink out and they lose connection. Boy, I tell you, that's just it coming to the checkered. That is.
Yeah,
that's heartbreaking.
We always say that's kind of the iRacing version of engine expiring on you. Just nothing you can do, and just part of it. Unfortunately, in a virtual world, can't control everything, right? So that's kind of the iRacing version of mechanical problems, if you will. So
it is. Well, they look pretty good out there. Typical man bunched up here at Michigan. Getting set to go back green here tonight, man. Grant's Designs. Got to appreciate Danny White, man, coming on board here, sponsoring us tonight here for the Michigan race and ARCA Series. Here in a little while, we might get up Eric in up here just to get another little perspective of, driver or whatnot. I know he's not doing in the ARCA Series like yourself, but y'all coming from the trucks and y'all race a lot more than I do, and I've mentioned this time and time again, getting set to go green, is, you learn a lot by just watching. I've said this. I know what to do, but I don't know how to implement it on the track. As we're getting set to go green, Platinum Serviceman, VA, green flag out here tonight. Seth Fowdy took over the lead here on the caution. Let's see if he gets a good jump out with Justin Curtis right there along with him. As he does, gets a good start. We'll see what Grant can do behind him.
Yeah, really good jump here by South Fowdy and Jacob Grant. I'm interested to see if he can get back up there. This is going to be really interesting, Joe. I'm curious to kind of see how this race unfolds. I know when we ran here recently in the truck, the high lane was extremely dominant. It's almost like if you got stuck on the bottom, you'd almost got freight trained. But Jacob Grant's trying to make quick work and go back to the lead here on the bottom.
Yeah, it is. Got a good push. He's right there on the bottom, like you said, trying to get a good run. He's got no drafting help there. As you see the 3 wide behind him, as Wayne Chapman's been able to move up 8 spots up to 4th place right now on that number 43 machine. Dustin Martin looking pretty good. You got Caleb Smith, who has just done an outstanding job here in the ARCA Series and in the Truck Series by stepping out of the booth, getting back in the car. So far, looking good. 3 wide up front.
Yeah, really good racing going on up here. We got Seth Fowdy, Dusty Martin in that 35. Oh, and he goes around just as I say that.
Oh, wow. Going to bring the caution. Let's go back and watch and see what kind of happened up here. He's up there in that bluish, the light blue machine on the outside of Caleb.
I think he might have gotten a little help from our buddy Wayne Chapman here.
So easy to do. I mean, you got cars high. You're 3 wide right there. We spoke of that a little bit earlier where, you don't want that to happen, but on air so slightly, I mean, this is a game, what they talk about football, game of inches. You got to put that in reference of racing too. Race of inches. Yeah, I'll say that.
That's right. Well, and I get everyone's, probably a little jittery right now and they want to move forward and, these restarts can get a little hectic, but I think some of these guys need to just remember, we're just at the beginning of this race here. We got 85 laps. So that's going to come with time when these guys get more and more seat time and they learn and racing around each other, the same group. There's a lot of crossover here between the truck series and some new guys. So once once you start racing around some of the same guys and you kind of learn some of their habits and whatnot, you know who you can kind of push the issue with and who you need to give a little bit more room to, and that's all part of learning. So it's, no harm, no foul though on that one. Looked like it was kind of an innocent spin. So
I gotta bring this up here too. Over the years I talked about the truck, because it normally is usually is like a starter to your career going up NASCAR, and how, lack of a better word, how easily those trucks are supposed to be back then. How you feel inside that truck, and I've mentioned this a couple times with new tires, man, you feel like Superman inside the truck. I know over the years they've tried to loosen those things up a little bit, but maybe some of what you just mentioned to go a little jittery, little happy on the track. Maybe could some of that be because of, quite frankly, how maybe easier this car is to drive, and you feel like you're Superman behind the wheel?
yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't have a ton of experience personally. I literally just hopped on before we went live and tried to drive a couple practice laps to kind of feel out the car. And the first thing I felt is it felt very stuck, to the track and very secure, which is a good thing. But at the same time, I think when we saw in that first incident where the 8 car kind of pushed up and got in the wall, sometimes it can almost lure you in, Joe, where it kind of gives you a false confidence of, oh, I've got a ton of grip, I can get back in the throttle. Then all of a sudden,
exactly what
you jump back into the gas a little too quick, and once you kind of start, committing to that exit of the corner, if it's too late, you got to get off the throttle, and then you could check everyone up. So you still got to be really patient with it. I think the guys that can roll the center of the corner, try to be as easy as you can, let it rotate, take care of that right front, and then once you get it pointed and drive off the corner, I think those are going to be the people that can be the most successful here tonight.
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's exactly what I was saying out there. You feel comfortable, and you feel like you can put that car or truck anywhere, especially when you got a ton of grip, and that's how it is with those new tires. And sometimes you find yourself, like you said, getting in trouble. I know I did when I raced them. It's how it is, and I know it happens in real life. It's one of those things. So we're not dealing with and I guess we hear that argument in real life with the Cup guys. They're wanting that horsepower back so that they don't feel that, and they have to control the car because they feel like they're not in control of the car. It's just pretty much, man, I feel so good behind the wheel.
Oh gosh, I can speak from experience. I've driven the next gen car in some leagues, and that thing is wicked, man, because it, talk about a false sense of confidence. You can be going in the corner, and when it snaps on you, Joe, you have no chance to catch it. I mean, it snaps and that's it. You're straight in the wall. Versus some of the older model cars, you could kind of feel it stepping out on you and kind of counter steer a little bit to try to fight it. But yeah, those next gen cars they're a different beast, man.
Platinum Service VA starting grid here, or excuse me, green flag. We're about to go back to it here for Grant's Designs here tonight in the ARCA Series. Man back out front, though. That is Jacob Grant. Got Justin Curtis alone winning green flag. Grant gets the good jump on the field.
Yep, Jacob Grant back out front. And just a note that we can remember here, Joe, about 6 cars did come down pit road there. Some of them topped off on fuel, so just curious to see how that might play out if we go green here.
Yeah, and I know we touched on that a little bit earlier. I just feel like that this is kind of one of the sense of tracks that it's just not really going to be a huge major factor. We'll have to see as the race goes on. Could be wrong. Hey, y'all threw me and Caleb for a loop last year, man, with some of the pit strategies y'all did.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I tell you what, right now, Grant's out front. Look at Joshua Gillian right there, too, with Faldy on the bottom. So he's making waves coming to the front. And, I got to say this. I'm a Mustang man, through and through by heart. I like the look of these cars a little bit, newer ones. So I like these style of cars out here. I feel like, I don't know, I really like these designs of all these cars better.
Yeah, they definitely look sharp out here. We got a a lot of Mustangs out here up front right now with Jacob Grant leading the way and Seth Foudy right
Just
here
the way
in
that
second.
even all these cars, they just look different. I don't know, they look different.
Oh yeah, they look sharp. I'll say that.
Chris Smith up 12. Remember, he started way back in the back.
Oh yeah.
You know, Chris Smith has really had a turnaround. You know, Altus, and that's, you know, winning the first race by mere inches. This might be a track to where he actually can get back up here and sneak and get another win, because he's won Daytona, and he's been showing some good speed here as of late. Up to 9th right now. Caleb's right there in 2nd. Battle up front. So, hey, keep an eye on that number 12. 55.
That's right. Yeah, the 55 of Chris Smith is doing a great job right now. He's worked his way up here, right inside the top 10. He's running P9 right now, and you know, we talked about it, Joe. This is kind of like a super speedway style type of track. You know, we're with the big draft and pulling it down the straightaways, and obviously, you know, Chris Smith got the first one of the season at Daytona, so not quite the same type of track, but kind of same idea applies to it, you know, with the draft and the toe and everything.
You might have to crack the throttle a little bit here. You know, you're not going to be all the way wide open. Some you see up there, the guys going into the turns, a little bit more momentum style. Yeah, but for the most part, draft will play a huge factor. We'll have to see. Right now, Caleb Smith takes the top point. Yep. Yeah, Jacob Grant, Warren right there with him. That's the big battle happening around about 3rd, 4th place spot, but it just seems like when we turn our head, we got a new leader.
Oh yeah, this is great racing so far. We've already had several different leaders. Caleb Smith just blew the doors off Jacob Grant on the outside right there. So now I gotta give Caleb a hard time, because he's one of my good buddies here. You know, and he'll be the first to admit it. Coming back to an oval, one of Caleb's things that he struggles with often on these ovals is trying to save those tires. So that's the only thing I want to see, because he might be, you know, getting a little aggressive early trying to get that track position. So, but we've talked about it, Joe. Track position is really, really, really important at these kind of style of tracks. So let's keep an eye on the 54 and see if he can maintain it. Momentum
too. You know, that is a word I use a lot. It's just, unfortunately, it seems like it applies to 85% of the tracks in real life and on iRacing. They're momentum style tracks, and if you lose that momentum, you can go from, like you said, you can go from the lead to the 5th or 8th place in just a matter of half a lap or a lap or so, and next thing you know, you're like, hey, what happened? But momentum, man, plays such a huge factor. Car around.
Oh, the 0-2.
Foudy.
Zachary Foudy.
Wow. Let's see what happened and see if he had a little help.
He's going to be okay. I don't think he hit anything.
Now, we did get a caution here, so let's go back and watch it. But I think as a product, they were just 2 wide, 3 wide, a little bit of touching going on. We've seen some little bit of bumping, and this is a high-speed style track. Not like it was last week at Martinsville with the bump and run could play. Don't really want to do too much here. He's in that blue and white machine. Yeah, just got a little bit on the 29. Saved by whoever that was in the blue car, but man.
Yeah, I think that was Judson Curtis in the 29, who is actually our Daytona winner in the Truck Series.
Oh, okay.
Looks like he got in the back of the 2 there, but
it
looks like no harm, no foul.
It was actually
no.
Wasn't him? What was it?
Is Judson Curtis in a red car there?
Oh, it's right there. It's Joshua. Help me with that name.
What number are we looking at here?
25. Well, it says 25. The 25.
Oh.
Yeah. That blue one right there.
Usnuckis.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it looks like everyone got away kind of scot-free, kind of similar to that second caution where just a spin and, at least no hard contact in the wall or anything. So should be able to go and, might have a little bit of optional damage they can fix up on that. Obviously, aero is going to be really important here, so you just want to make sure you don't have any kind of aero damage or anything like that. So see if we have any takers, Joe. Be interested to see. In about 18 laps in, we've had some cautions and
little fake them out.
Little fake. Yep. It's like somebody's at the 10 of Joshua.
That brought Joshua Gillian in, and
Usnuckis came in as well. Yeah.
A lot of them back about 14 places on back.
Split strategy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, if you're back in 15th, 20th, why not? You don't really have a lot. You're going to come on into pits, which there is a tire limit, so you don't want to, up that. But reading out there some of the chat, Steve, unfortunately, out of the race here tonight, they're talking. And yeah, we're going to agree. These cars definitely are very stable. I think, well, I don't even know I haven't seen these cars on a road race yet. Or a road track. So I don't know what's going to make them to where it says, oh Lord, they're all the time loose, because we talked about that earlier. They're all just, these cars have so much downforce to them and less horsepower. And that's a combination of, that takes me back to GT3. GT3 is around 500, 550 horsepower style cars, but they have so much grip and arrow to them. Those cars are built to just be planted to the ground and whatnot. Now you can get them loose if you overdrive anything, and the same with this one. But that is a combination: low horsepower, high downforce, going to make a very tight and real stable car to drive. Can you get it loose? Yeah, I mean you could.
Yeah, and that's the thing which separates a lot of these drivers, Joe, is there's so many different driving styles. Like I'm a kind of driver that I want a loose car. Loose is fast, and as long as you can control it, I love kind of being on the edge of out of control and being able to modulate the throttle and anytime I can kind of hang the rear end out and kind of go after it, that's when I feel like that's when I'm at my best. But I feel like there's only so much you can do with a tight car.
Why don't I see that on Monday night from you, man? Because I feel like you're more of a conservative. You're like as I always say, Altus, man, he might start in the back. Next thing you know, boom, by the end of the race, where'd he come from? Out of nowhere. Well,
it just depends on the track, and you gotta know the situation, right? So I can't show all my cards all the time. So But I mean, what I was getting at is like with these ARCA cars, there's so much grip and they're tight, and to me there's only so much you can do when the car is tight. Right. I mean, you really got to back up the corner, and like I said, just really focus on rotating the center. And some guys just absolutely, that's their wheelhouse. They thrive on a tighter car.
I do got a win in the ARCA Series in iRacing officials.
Oh, okay, Joe. Yeah, we need to get you. When are we going to get you out here?
That was the old one. That was the old series. Now it was the old one. Now, so not in these cars, but it was way back in the day. I was racing.
We're going to have to do a drivers only broadcast and have you go race out there and see what happens. So.
Yeah. So it was just Charlotte. So it was one of the favorite tracks. But here we go back green. We're going to get our Platinum Service VA green flag here tonight. Grant's Designs ARCA Series here. Got it presented by Danny White. Man, out front, Caleb Smith as the green flag flies. Gets a good launch on him. You're right. Warren right there with Grant. Bowdy and company right behind him.
All right, this is going to be our first real test. So it looks like Bobby Mantle in the 89 pitted. He may have only taken fuel, though, Joe.
He
only
did.
about a 6 second pit stop.
Dusty Martin pitted at lap 8. He was on fuel, but Daniel Rubino. I'm gonna say Rubino, man. Hopefully, until we get confirmation, he's one of the first ones that. Well, my bad. I told you wrong. Actually, Danny White was one of the first ones, or actually Bobby Mantle. Yeah, he took looks like fuel. Zachary Fowdy looks like he had some damage for a 24-second pit stop. Yeah, Kenyon Jackson
might not be on tires yet.
Yeah, not yet, because a lot of them were 6-second pit stops back there. Looks like some of them were taking damage. But really, I don't think anybody took tires yet.
Which is smart, because I believe we only have 2 extra sets of tires in the pits. So, we still got a long way to go here. We've already had 3 cautions, so not a ton of green flag laps. So probably smart by most of these drivers to make sure we're saving their tires for now. So
absolutely. Caleb Smith holding off a freight train behind him of Warren and Chapman. Fowdy's right there with it with Grant. It's anybody's ball game. They're 3 wide behind him, and this track is wide enough to do it. But I go back to that word momentum. The momentum is not where you want to be, doing 3 wide here, because somebody's going to have to give up.
Look at Wayne Chapman up here in second place. Your broadcast buddy on Monday nights, doing a great job in the booth in the truck series, and Wayne is doing a great job tonight. So right behind Caleb Smith and
Hooligan.
That's right.
Hooligan.
Look at that. And that the 95 Edwin Warren has been up toward the front.
16 spots up too.
So, yeah, doing a really good job. So
we have seen some heavy movers. Joshua met some really heavy movement. Wayne up 10, like I said, Warren up 16. If you go a little further on back here around 10th place spot, you do see Chris Smith up 11. Daniel right there. I want to say Daniel Rue until I figure out his whole name. I apologize, Barbara, out there, but I just don't want to keep just messing it up. Up 11 spots there in 11. Bobby Mantle up to 12. Up 12 spots in 12. Kenyon Jackson there up 10 and 13. So some heavy movers. Yeah,
and Dusty Martin, we were just talking about him spinning around, Joe. He's already back to 5th place.
Man. So just like that, been able to, bounce back, get back up. That's that old thing, and I always say never give up. Guys sometimes give up a little bit, and unless you just go, a huge crash, tear your car up, and you're way far down. Don't give up. But man, I tell you what, notice these cars having problems coming off the turn, hitting that wall on the top side.
Yeah, I think I'm very interested to see, the longer we get into this run, I think it's just going to start getting, Wayne got in the wall a little bit right there. I think it's just going to keep getting tighter and tighter as the run goes on, though. So you're really going to be able to see who's taking care of that right front as the longer this goes on. Gotcha. Right now, it looks like Jacob's going to take the top spot away from Caleb. Is this the time where we see, if we haven't seen a huge long green flag run like you said there, Joshua, and now you want to see if Kayla has used up those tires. You see Grant right there taking it back from him. But this is such, got to use that word again, such that momentum. You see that high lane been able to take it back from him. That's the only thing with the bottom is, Jacob's doing a good job of running the bottom, but I feel like to kind of control the line, you probably want to be up top. So Jacob's trying to do all he can to clear Caleb here and try to control this race. Absolutely. Right now, man, Jacob on the inside. Warren up that 16 spots. We just talked about it. Seth Faldy right there along with it. Martin, Chapman, White, Smith, Honeycutt, and Rue back there, man, battling along with Curtis. Man, them two guys been going at each other. And, we just found out that they're brothers out there. So, Stephen, unfortunately, Stephen, not the night he wants. Already lapped down and actually out of the race. I think that's who's out there talking, matter of fact. And we got 9 cars you could throw a blanket over right now, Joe. Yeah, look at this pack, man. I thought we got away from Daytona there, Joshua. Oh, no. Woo, look at that. Going down. Yeah,
that's an option too at this track, going on the apron.
Oh, yeah.
Go on the apron. You can do that here.
At about 4 wide for a second.
Crazy. Now, a lot of times I look at Michigan going into turn 1, see where that little black line is. That's usually in the trucks where you want to put it at, but I've noticed they're going all the way down to the yellow line here. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is there's so many different groups you can run, but you just got to run wherever you feel most comfortable. Man, I'm really impressed with Dusty Martin in this 35. We were just talking about him, got up to P5. He's in P2 now. He just spin.
Yeah, he did just spin about 10, 15 laps ago.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Man, like you said, back up the second. Don't give up. Danny White right there behind him. Got to appreciate him doing the title sponsor here tonight. This here
2
to
weeks
Michigan.
in a row.
Yeah, love it, man. And, showing out, so might get top 3 here. Caleb Smith, he's looking for that win. He got it taken away from him at Daytona by Dad out there. Chris Smith, who just took it by mere inches at the line. Man, yeah, what a great race that was. Caleb thought he had it, and Chris Smith pulled out and timed the run perfectly and just got him at the line. So awesome. I know Caleb would love nothing more than to get back in victory lane, especially after he's took a little break and was in the booth with you for a while there, Joe. So I know he's excited to be back out on track. I know he's chomping at the bit for next Monday. Oh yeah, Watkins Glen, man. I was talking to Rob Sherwood, my SMB Motorsports teammate, and I said, I like Watkins Glen. I think I might be able to compete there. And he goes, well, good luck. You got to beat Caleb. And I was like, God dang it, I forgot he's back. Yep. He's been chomping at the bit. He said he marked that one on his calendar, man, before he even got out. Oh, Caleb. Oh, no, he's on pit road. Wow. Now, is this a smart pit stop by him? What do you think?
Well, I want to make sure he didn't speed. He looked like he was coming in really hot. And I think he might have got
watch his pit stop here then.
Slow down and yeah.
Smith coming in with him. Chris Smith did. Daniel Rue coming in with him also.
I think this is scheduled.
Is this scheduled? Okay.
Yep.
He's got to take tires.
Yeah, looks like
he's
taking tires. We'll see if he gets a holding penalty. If not, he did a really good job of getting it wound down.
Well, you look like the jack man's getting that thing jacked all the way up, doesn't it?
Oh, no, yeah.
He didn't get a hold penalty. Okay.
Yeah, good job by Caleb Smith there getting the pit road.
Get the tire off the back of that thing, man. It didn't look like it was off the ground.
They're so fast you couldn't even see him.
Man.
That's right. The first scheduled green flag stops tonight. Caleb Smith, Jacob Grant, I think came in as well on lap 29.
Did, yeah. Lap 30. Grant came in at lap 29. A lot of the front runners come in. That's going to leave old Fowdy up front here. So it looks like right now, well, I'm going to say the top 13 pretty much have not, tire-wise. You'd have to go back to where Smith and them are, as far as like an official tires type of stop. Everybody else up front. Yeah, there's a couple that pitted. They only took fuel.
And look at Caleb Smith coming out right back in front of this pack. And this is where, look at him sail off into the corner. And this is where you'll see the difference on tires right here, where he can drive away. But, the 35 and the 64,
but
Dusty
you talk
Martin
about
and Danny
that.
White.
Let's look at this
pitted.
here just a second.
Yeah.
My bad there. Josh, let's look at this for a second.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I was talking about. Yes, there's an advantage to those new tires, but he's not walking away. And that is the issue I have with a lot of these tracks, where you have to make that choice late in the race. Obviously right now it's not a choice, but just look at it. It's just like, really? I wish iRacing would change something that would make it more, what's the word I'm looking for, useful, that tires and pit stops would
more of a competitive advantage.
It just seems like it's not enough out there. I mean, because you can see Caleb on those. I mean, he's on 30-lap newer tires. 30 laps should be walking away from these guys. And I know, Josh, you've listened, man. I've preached about that I don't know how many times, but it's not.
Well, keep in mind, Joe, too, the two cars right behind Caleb are also on his cycle. So these guys are all on the same tires right here. So
Fowdy and White aren't.
Let's see.
Fowdy, Seth Fowdy?
Jacob Grant.
Well, what I'm talking about is Seth Fowdy right here. You can see Caleb Smith right in front of him. See Caleb Smith and Jacob Grant, they're right in front of him. That's the leader
Seth
right there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at is that's 30-lap difference tires, folks.
Yeah,
and now you see the leader on pit road. So now Danny White will take over. But at the meantime, and that's what I was getting at. Now, obviously, this track draft does play a little factor, but that's why I bring up that Auto Club effect a lot there. Joshua is like, wow.
And I will say Michigan is a much smoother track compared to Auto Club. I know Auto Club, RIP again, and Old Atlanta were two of the most abrasive surfaces where, in Homestead, those kind of tracks where we used to joke and say, you could push a car down pit road and be ready for a new set of tires already with how abrasive it is. But with these tracks, to your point, Joe, they're a little bit smoother track, and it doesn't look like the tires are that big of a difference as we just saw right there. So
and here's the only time. Oh, my bad. Here's the only time in a race that we're going to see probably cars getting split up is green flag stops. Everybody coming out differently. So this is where we're going to get away from that big pack style racing. You're going to see maybe two cars hooked up together.
Yeah, and I think as of right now, we're probably looking at splitting this race into thirds. So I'm pretty sure everyone's going to probably have to make two stops. Danny White's our current leader. He pitted on lap 8.
He did. It looks like he took tires. Well, he either took tires or got a lot of damage because it was a 46-second pit stop.
That's right. Now, what is going to be interesting, Joe, is we do kind of have this other half of the pack that pitted on lap 18. So, is that going to be enough? If if they run this, a full fuel run, could they possibly do it on one stop? That would be something to kind of keep an eye
laps. He went 30. The furthest we've seen anybody go is Edwin went to 30. I don't know if he went, but let's say Caleb did go 30 laps.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
And 42 is going to kind of be your halfway point of this race. So, if we pitted on, say we pitted on lap 18 and then we run 30, that's 48.
And that brings up Danny White, too, because he pitted on lap 8 with that, got fuel. So, well, I mean, Zach Fowdy would be the first one at 18. I'm with you because, we're already seeing the tire issue here. Because let's break it down. If this was coming to the closing laps, obviously Caleb Smith and Jacob Grant would not have enough time to run down a 33-second gap.
That's right.
Because if you look at lap times and in racing, you've got to look at times. It's just the number one indicator of how fast you're going. And I use them a lot, and I try to explain to the viewers out there too that might not understand what it takes to just go right by somebody, just literally pass them. You're going to have to be a solid tenth to tenth and a half, or 2/10 faster, just to catch them and just go right by them without any trouble. Anywhere between a tenth or less, yes, you're going to pass them, but it might take you a lap or so to do it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And catching them is going to be really quick. So, with that in mind, what I'm going to get to here is Caleb Smith's last lap was a 39.62. The two Fowdy's 40.20. Okay, people might be saying, well, okay, Smith's way faster. He's going to, again, 32 seconds, do the math. If this was 30 laps left, we would not be able to catch it.
That's right, yeah.
I mean, and I've brought that up many a times there, Joshua, and I know some drivers are like, oh, no, I could catch. Do the math, it don't lie.
Numbers don't lie, right, Joe? So,
unfortunately, as fast as the driver might think they are, and yes, he is faster. Now, the second thing is how much does the tire fall off? I don't think they will, because you mentioned that smooth track.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these guys are definitely running a little quicker. I'm looking at lap times. Caleb and Jacob just ran a 39.6 compared to our leader's 40.2. So, that's about 0.6 of a second. Yeah, about. So, I think the biggest thing is going to just be, is this first group that all pitted on 18, are they going to be able to try and make it on the one stop? Because if they can, then I think they're going to be in the catbird seat. Because like you just said, Joe, even with these guys running half a second faster, I don't think it'll be enough to catch them. But then when you got to get into, are they going to need to save any fuel? Because then that could, slow the lap times down even more. These big tracks, lend themselves to fuel mileage races, more times than not. So
Auto Club, yep. Yeah, we go back to Auto Club. Yeah. It's usually a fuel miles race.
I'm just going to keep my eye out and see when this, group of, that pitted on 18, when are they going to hit pit road? And that, right. I'll be able to do some math and see if, if they think they can make it. Danny White's on pit road right now.
Yeah, he is. That was the first. Now, he pitted on lap 8, so interesting to see what these guys, because we're riding here with Zach Fowdy and looking, and obviously you can see they're not wide open around this track, folks. They do have to crack the throttle. You don't use really much brake, if any, here. Again, the momentum kind of pushes you around. About the only time you probably use brake, ran up onto somebody in the back, you just had to really stop. But, yeah, you're pretty much just cracking the throttle, letting the car rotate through the turn. You can see it right there, the RPMs drop. Really hard to tell with digital dashes if they're saving fuel unless it just drops down to 1,000. And the difference, just so that folks out there know, and I know Joshua, is if it drops to 1,000, that means they hit the clutch. If it drops all the way to 0, that means they're flipping the ignition switch and turning it off and on, turning the motor off and on. So just to give you all an idea out there, if you see it, I've had some people ask that question, what's the difference? There's the difference for you.
So here's what my initial thought is, Joe, because you can probably hear my gears are turning right now. I probably got smoke coming out of my ears. Yeah. And now I know how you feel when you're sitting there watching us trying to keep up with our strategies.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot tougher up in the booth than down in the race car when you know what you're doing. So,
y'all
but
can
this
give
is
me
just
an
my
idea, but
thought.
I still got to figure it out. Y'all give me an idea. Oh, well, we can go 30 laps, but I'm still up here sometimes. Y'all throw me for a loop.
Well, here's my thoughts. Okay, so Caleb Smith and Jacob Grant, they pitted on lap 30 and lap 29, right? So Caleb went 30 laps, but we had 3 cautions in that opening stint. So how much were they saving under caution? Because that probably, if I had to guess, probably allowed them to save at least 2 or 3 laps under caution, right? So maybe call it 27, 28 without saving. So if that's the case, I feel like this group would have to go to lap 58-ish to make it. So that's still another 10, 11 laps for this group who pitted on lap 18. So if we see them, stretch it to 57, 58, I think that's going to tell us they're going to try to one-stop this. But if they come in before that, I don't know if they'll have enough. So that's just my thoughts. I don't know if I'm right or not, but that's where I'm thinking.
Well, you think a lot of what I do, and I've said it a couple times, on caution laps usually equates to anywhere between a lap or 2 of green flag running, depending on the track, that is. I mean, a big track like this, it might be just like you say 1 or 2. Small track could be more. So you just mentioned that. So you're right. You got to add that into it, but still, I don't know. Sometimes pit strategies, man, it's like, but right now, this is interesting because you've got Caleb, Dusty Martin, Fowdy, Grant, all those guys. Those are running for position right there.
That's right. And Dusty Martin and Fowdy, they pitted a little bit after Jacob and Caleb. So they, this is the battle for position on the track. This is P7 through P10. Yeah, so, we talked a little bit about tires. It's those couple laps. Is that a little bit of a difference here where they can get by these guys? We see Dusty Martin get in front, but then Seth Fowdy's kind of tucked in behind. So
I'd be smart on his end. Save some fuel. Be back there in the back. Just use the draft to his advantage.
That's right. Oh, Caleb Smith got in the wall a little bit right there. Nothing crazy. But
I think Jacob Grant's got the game plan right now. He's just riding behind Smith here, and I know you riding back there, you're saving more fuel than the guy out front.
Yep. And these guys, I think that is completely their plan, is to split it exactly into thirds. So I think they pitted on lap 30. If they pit on 58, they're going to be right there within their window. So I think that's the plan. So this should be the battle for the win if everything plays out right. We'll see with this group.
Daniel Rue was up front earlier. His pit stop at lap 31 was a 49-second. He must have had a penalty somewhere. I'm going to try to see if I can't find. I'm going to see if I can't go back and find his pit stop, because hey, look, I like showing out there. I love the family members out there. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. We're here at the big track of Michigan tonight, here for the Clean Racing League ARCA Series. Presented by Danny White here tonight, sponsoring for us, but Jacob Grant, he's got this thing on lockdown, got some other great sponsors out here too. Trying to find, okay, it says he left. All right, he's on pit road. Yeah, he got a penalty. He's right there just sitting. I don't know if it was a speeding penalty or what he got, but yeah, he's been held. Yep.
Yeah, tough break for him. There he goes now, taking off, so.
Okay, well, I was just wondering, because I was looking out there, kind of get the family members an update on what their favorite driver and so forth. Unfortunately, Steve out of the race here, but yeah, it puts Daniel way back there in 21st spot, maybe a couple laps down, unfortunately, along with Joe Spinelli and right there with David Bird. Daniel Miller on pit road.
Yeah, Joshua Gillen just hit pit road as well too, Joe, and he was one of those in that group that pitted on lap 18. So he's kind of the first of that group. So I'm keeping an eye on to see, Zachary Fowdy, Jamie L., Ghostman, Bobby Mantle. Looks like they're all starting
There
to
it is.
come in
Fowdy's
now.
on pit road.
Yep. So I don't think they're going to be able to make it, Joe. So that does kind of put us back to that group we were just looking at with Seth Fowdy, Dusty Martin, Jacob Grant, Caleb Smith. I think that's going to be.
So they can't make 33 laps. Can they make 33 laps?
Who?
That would be Fowdy, because that would be what, 62, 70, 62, 72, 82. Yeah, they'd have to go 33.
They're gonna probably look to pit around 58 would be my guess. So let me do some quick math here.
Okay. Well,
so that would be 27 to go, Joe. If they can get to 58, yeah.
If anybody can stretch fuel, I got to bring this guy up, Ghost here.
Oh yeah,
I've seen him do this. I don't know how many times. You can see Mantle right there running along with him, but Abram Ghost.
He's trying it too, Joe. He's trying it.
Yeah, let's ride with him here and see if maybe he's a lot slower. He's not in that 7,000 RPM.
I will say, Joe, Ghost.
Yes, he is right there. Look, there he is. He is.
Joe,
he's going for it.
He topped off on lap 19, so he's got one extra lap than that main group. So, he's coming in right now. I think he's going to be a little short. We'll see.
We'll see. I think, yeah. So he came in.
He's going to have to go about 31 laps, Joe. So, if he can save a little bit, I think that just might be a little bit too much, but we'll see.
Wow. But Seth Fowdy out front, who pitted at lap 35. Right there in front of Dusty Martin, along with Jacob Grant, Caleb Smith, and them boys. And, we saw earlier in the race where everybody was just, right on top of each other, side by side. This is the part where, yes, tires will eventually, folks, wear, okay? They do have to get out of the throttle more. So they, draft still plays a factor, but they will get split up on a long. I mean, this is typical Clean Racing League racing right here.
That's right. And Caleb Smith looks like he's coming to pit road right now, Joe. So
is that early or is that what?
Early.
Okay.
I don't know. I thought it was maybe a little early, but he might be able to make it. I really thought 58 is kind of my number that I'm looking at. So, this is a little
Jacob
early
might
from
have
what
that
I would have
idea.
thought. Yep. And remember, Caleb and Jacob both pitted just a little earlier than Fowdy and Martin did. So Fowdy and Martin can go just a little bit longer than those two if they need to.
Fowdy went 35, Martin went at 33, Grant went at 29. Danny White behind them, though, went at 43.
Okay.
It might be the one,
He is about 8 seconds behind right now, though, so.
He is, yeah.
And he's going to have to make another stop still, so.
2-tire stop, maybe? Could it work?
Maybe.
I mean, if you get far enough out front, and we've already talked about this, if he can get far enough out front, that 2-tire stop at this point, they're just not going to, they're going to run out of time.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that too, Joe, because you asked me earlier, what can you do with the car, how to make it looser? That's one way to loosen it up. You take 2 tires, that'll definitely loosen it up. So looks like we got the other 3 leaders coming in now, Joe, Fowdy, Martin, and Grant, all on pit road now.
Was that early for them since they came in later?
That is right on their number. So 58 is what I thought.
Chris Smith, Honeycutt, Chapman, Curtis in. So that's actually going to bring Danny White to the point with Fowdy right behind him. And it's an 8-second difference between the two.
So Danny White's hoping for a caution. Is what he's hoping for. Yeah, I've played that strategy a couple times too, Joe. So it's
this track I
you gotta play the cards you're dealt sometimes. So
I brought this up, and I know you hear me say it a lot on Monday nights. I really feel like coming into y'all's races here at the Clean Racing League, you just cannot bank on a caution, even on a bad track. You've got to plan. I really feel this way, and I could be way off, as thinking, but I feel like strategy-wise coming in, the first and foremost is there's not going to be any cautions in these races. If there is, great. Change the plan up. But especially at a track like this,
Yeah, I was going to say it really just depends what track because, I think coming into Monday, I think we were definitely all expecting cautions to occur. And I do have to say, for the most part, I was pretty impressed. I know we had 14 cautions total. But, I mean, that was a really hot, slick track. And, most of them I actually went back and kind of tallied up the cautions and what happened. And I think about 75% or more of them were just self-spins. So, that's just guys, getting a little on the gas a little too early and looping it around. But it wasn't anything dirty or malicious or anything like that. That was just kind of part of it. So, but yeah, this kind of track, yeah, you're right. I think I don't know if you can bank on a caution with them being all spread out how they are now.
Oh, Jackson right here we're watching, sitting in fourth, pitted at lap 39.
39, yeah, he'll have to pit again. I think
he's coming in now.
Yeah, in my opinion,
yep, he's coming in.
I think Seth Foudy is the first one that I believe that can probably make it, who pitted on lap 57.
Pitted 52.
Seth Foudy. Sorry, I think you're looking
my
at
bad.
Zachary Foudy.
Zachary Foudy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Seth Foudy. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah, 57.
Seth Foudy in the 07. I think he is the one in the
Jacob
catbird
at
seat at the moment.
Dusty Martin at 57. Honeycutt 57. Chris Smith. What about Caleb, man? He pitted at 55. Is he close?
55? Caleb's a smart driver. If he pitted on 55, I would think that he's going to be able to make it. He might, think that maybe if I save a lap or something like that. And then, I'm looking at that group, Ghost Man, Bobby Mantle pitted at 54. To me, that's going to be a really big stretch. But, hey, we talked about it, Joe. If anyone can do it, I would be the first one to put money on Ghost Man.
Look at this right here. And you know what? I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Jacob Grant's faster than Smith, but he's not going to pass him. I think he's saving that. He knows I'm in the perfect spot.
Well, and they're running faster together too, obviously.
Yep, true.
They both just ran 39 O's, which was the fastest lap on track. So now what needs to happen, if they're going to work together though, I was going to say Jacob needs to be the one in front because Caleb has 2 less laps than Jacob does on fuel. So if they're going to work together, this is the way to do it so Caleb can save a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You see Jacob
been a
right
good
there
race so far, Joe.
It has, man, and it's been a good one here tonight. Michigan, the 170 presented by Danny White. Got to appreciate Danny White stepping up the last 2 weeks here for us, sponsoring our races here. You got to give a shout out there, man, to Jacob Grant and Grant's Designs, bringing the ARCA Series to us. Great sponsors out here, too. We got Ghost Athletics. A couple weeks ago, got to talk with old Ghost Man up here, learned a lot about him. And also, Grant's Designs out there. Check him out on Instagram. CRL Podcast on Spotify and YouTube. So go check out the CRL Podcast. They have a weekly podcast there to get to talk a lot of the drivers and a lot of owners and whatnot here in the Clean Racing League. And then again, simracingmerc.com. If you want to get you some merch there, use the promo code CRL2025. And it's CRL2025. Get you a little bit off. Again, Danny White. And then obviously our Platinum Service VA for our green flags here tonight. So great sponsors. And, we brought Jacob Grant up plenty of times, Joshua, on what he's done, bringing this, league to us here. The ARCA Series first season here for the Clean Racing League. And it has not disappointed so far.
No, it's been great racing. It was a little rocky at the beginning, had a couple early cautions, but man, it was entertaining from our point of view, watching the 3 wide racing and guys going after it. And this is pretty normal for these type of tracks. After you get through, one round of green flag pit stops, things kind of spread out, and some people, might find it, kind of boring, some people, but hey, maybe it's just me. I love the strategy and the stats, and, I love looking at the different strategy and fuel mileage, and I'm a big strategy guy, so I can really appreciate, different strategies and trying to win it on, fuel mileage. Like I love keeping an eye on Ghost Man to see if he's going to be able to make it. And yeah, it's just he's doing good. And look, he's drafting right there with Bobby Mantle. So I'm telling you, man, don't count him out.
Bobby Mantle on the same pit strategy. Yeah, well, he was up 19 spots. I mean, Bobby is right there sitting in 5th, right in front. So, really good run. Yeah, you're right. Jacob L right there too, up 10 spots in 4th. So appreciate everybody out there, man. I appreciate all the new people out there. You mentioned it earlier, Jacob. Got a lot of new names out here in the league. That's awesome. Love the family members out there watching, and I know Eric out there trying to check out what's going on here. Give him a little update on the 43 because he said he hoped that the 43 does better than he does in it. And right now back in 13th place spot, so he's going to need a little help to get back up front, I believe.
Yeah, he'll need a little help. I think a lot of these guys are kind of hoping on, banking on a caution to tighten things up. And, man, that it would be exciting to kind of see a 10-lap dash to the end or so. But
mess up some strategies out here, though.
Yeah, I am. I'm more in tune to see what strategy is going to work out because I think Steph Foudy and Jacob Grant, are looking really good. But we talked about him, Ghost Man. Don't count him out, man. He's been around, the CRL for a long time, and you talked about, Ghost Athletics and the stuff he does with his flag football and just, it's cool to get to know these guys a little bit outside the sim and see what they do in the real world, and that he was a retired officer. I do. I sure do. And we just had a great month at Senvar with solar. So, yeah, it's just cool to, talk to and, kind of a piggyback. Another one of the sponsors is the CRL podcast with Caleb Smith and Jacob Grant. Rob Sherwood run that. And kind of excited to announce, Joe, that I'm going to be on the next episode. So I think we're going to
check that out. I think it's on Fridays is when it comes out.
Yeah. I think we're going to record it tonight right after the race. So I'm excited to. I like to talk, so it's
me
it's
too.
fun to
unfortunately
to talk. I like to talk, which is why it's fun doing these races and whatnot. But looking forward to that. That's been a cool thing that those guys put together.
Yeah, man, that is awesome. Like I say, so again, go check out CRL podcast on YouTube and on Spotify. So, and you can go to cleanracingleague.com. Go to cleanracingleague.com. And you'll get the links to those. You'll get the links to, pretty much will keep you up to date on everything that's going on in the league here at the Clean Racing League. All the great sponsors out there, all the great series, drivers and whatnot. Yeah, most importantly, definitely go check out cleanracingleague.com. That'll get you up to speed on everything that we talk about in these races, just in case you might miss it, and so forth and so on. But it's awesome. I know the podcast comes out on Fridays. A new episode does, so definitely pick it off on the calendar this Friday.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of this strategy of Danny White?
Well, Danny White, unfortunately, is I think his clock's about to strike midnight here in a second if he doesn't get a caution. So I think, I think it was a great roll of the dice. Not to get too sidetracked, I ran an Xfinity race last night, and I stayed out and rolled the dice and caught a caution, and it worked out. So, he's not saving either, so. Yeah, no, he's going full blast and just hoping he grabs a yellow, because if he grabs a yellow, he's going to drag everyone else down pit road, and he's going to be in the catbird seat. But he's probably running pretty low on fuel here. He pitted on lap 43. He's about 30 laps into his stint, so yeah, he's probably going to be coming down pit road anytime.
One thing I wish I could see is how much the fuel left in the way for me to know, which I guess in real life broadcasting they don't know that either, so they just go off of what they hear on chatter or whatnot.
Yeah.
They have a roundabout idea, I know, and like a lot of you guys like to say, well, yeah, our pit windows are 20, 25. Sometimes I still, like you just said a minute ago, you hear me up here a lot of times, and I have drivers ask me, well, Joe, why can't you get straight? Now you see, sometimes it's
well, and the thing in the booth too, Joe, is you got to keep track of multiple different strategies. At least when I'm down in the car, all I got to focus is mine. But
Yeah, so you look at the guy out here, and that's like me and Caleb last season. We threw our notebooks out the window because after I think you and was it Sherwood, man, y'all was like, we thought, well, we got y'all down pat pit wise, and the next thing you know, y'all got I don't know what they're doing. Forget about it, Caleb. What in the world? Yep, Danny White on pit road. So
here he comes. It was a good call by him. I think it's worth the shot. Worth a shot. So unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. But.
Man, so the Spouty got enough to make it. He pitted at lap 52. Gillian at 51 right behind him.
Nope, I think those two are going to be short. The first one I've got on my list that could potentially make it is Mantle and Ghost, and that's a big maybe, Joe. So I don't feel confident. The first one I feel really confident about is Jacob Grant and Seth Foudy, who are duking it out side by side. I think that's probably going to be
lost those guys. Wow.
Yep. Caleb's falling back a little bit right there. Dusty Martin still kind of within range, couple seconds behind Jacob Grant there. Dusty did a great job tonight, man. Like we've highlighted, Joe, he spun out. I think he was the second caution tonight and battled back. So, even if he doesn't win the race, if he can get a top 5 out of this, that's going to be a heck of a night for Dusty.
Absolutely. Right now, folks, we got 10 to go in this one. It's going to be interesting. It looks like it's going to come down to fuel mileage unless just some wild caution happens out of the blue here and brings them all. And then all this pit stop we were talking about, well, throw it out the window because it's anybody's ball game from that point on. But right now, the biggest battle on the track is right here for 6 and 7. Foudy and Grant. Hey, you would think that they wouldn't want to go after each other like this. You'd think maybe one of those guys would be like, okay, I just want to ride.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're thinking where we are, Joe, they're thinking, this might be the battle for the win right here. So if that's the case, I know Jacob.
That's true. Yeah.
Jacob's smart, man.
There's no way to catch
speed-wise.
Yeah. There's no way to catch Foudy and him speed-wise. I mean, 17 seconds. We've talked about that earlier in 13 seconds. So I'm like you. Yeah. It's got to be if those guys pit.
Well, I'm pretty confident that Foudy and Gillen are going to pit, and then I think it's Bobby and Ghost are the first two that I'm looking at that might be able to. Which that's only about a 5-second gap or so. That's still a pretty good gap, though. I mean, we're under 10 to go. So
because I'm looking at his time, a 40:13 to a Ghost 40:20. Yeah, there's no way for them to catch him. Not at only a 10th and a half. That's roughly about a 10th and a half difference between Ghost and Grant. So even there, they're not going to make up that 5-second gap.
Yeah. Looks like Jacob just got around Foudy here as well. So
they're going to need those guys to pit.
Oh, yeah. No, they definitely will. I mean, their strategy is they want to be the car ahead of each other. They're fighting each other for the win.
Jamie
also 52. Yeah, I think he's also going to be a little bit outside what he needs. It's going to be my guess. Yeah.
Well,
can we go check and see? I want to see if Ghost is saving.
That's what I'm about. I'm riding with him right here. Let's see. He is drafting, so that is saving in a nutshell.
Yep.
No, he's not saving yet. But, I mean, he is drafting, so the draft is actually helping him more than Mantle. Just for folks out there that might not know, yes, if you're drafting behind a car, you let the draft pull you, and that way you don't have to use as much throttle, and you're still running the same speed as the guy in front of you because, well, you're getting put there he saved. I think both of them are saving because Mantle slowed up too. Let's watch Mantle here. Joshua? Yeah, that right there looked like both of them actually got off the throttle at the same time because Ghost almost ran over him.
Yeah, I'm curious if these guys are working together to try to save here.
Yeah, because they just lost almost 2 seconds. Second and a half to Grant. So they are saving.
This is going to be really, really close. Joe, while we're talking, I didn't realize, but we're on lap 81. I mean, we only got 5 laps to go right now.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. He didn't save that time. but it definitely was that one lap right there. You saw both of them. We were riding with Ghost, and you saw it there, Joshua. The Ghost almost ran over Mantle, so it looked like both of them got off the throttle at the same time because the Ghost dropped RPMs down to 1,100.
I'm not so sure, Joe, now that, you know, I was kind of a doubter on the lap 52, but Zachary Foudy, you know, is our current leader. And,
let's ride with him. Yeah.
There's only 4 laps to go, and he's another one, Joe, that he was one of the cautions earlier.
And he can say, well, you know, he had a 17-second lead? It's down to 11. Somewhere in there, he is saving fuel. He has dropped 5 seconds, so I mean, he can afford to give that up.
He's coming to 3 to go right here, Joe. So, I mean, he's definitely going for it. I mean,
well,
he's committed.
At this point, Joshua, you made your bed. That's the old saying. You might as well lay in it.
Right.
You cannot at this point afford. Yeah, he saved right. Yeah, he saved. He's going for it.
I mean, he's still running pretty good lap times.
He's got it. So. I'm with Zachary right here. If I'm in his position, if I'm in Gillian's position, there's no way I'm coming on pit road at this point.
No, absolutely not. You run it till you run out at this point.
If you run out in turn 1, man, the last lap, hey, you gave it all you had. If he runs out coming out of 4, he's got enough. Now Gillian might get him, but Mantle won't. So he might not win the race, but he still could probably come out of here with a good finish because there's only a second and a half, about almost 2 seconds between him and Gillian. So if he does run out coming in at, let's say, 3 and 4, Gillian might get it, but Mantle won't. But they have knocked that lead down to 9 seconds. So, yeah, Foudy is saving, and I'm with you. We're going to come to the white flag.
Yeah, he's I'm very impressed, Joe. I really did not think that those guys were going to have a shot here. So,
but ain't over yet, man, Joshua. He's still going to come out here with a great finish either way. Unless he runs out of fuel now, then obviously he'll fall way back. But
he just took the white flag.
Yeah, so he's going to have 4 more turns to go. If he can make it to turn 3 and 4, I think that's where he needs to make it to. Let's ride on board on the final time down the back stretch here with him. He's still underpowered. I mean, heavily. He's cracking that throttle. I guarantee he cracks it some right here. Yep, look at that. He's going to do it. Wow, what a pit strategy, Joshua.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
Zachary Foudy, what a drive tonight from spinning in the infield. And he's going to get it done tonight, Joe.
And Gillian's going to also come home in second. Bobby Mantle's going to bring her home there in third. Adrian Ghost tried everything he could to get around him, couldn't do it. But, man, what a finish to this one is. That's a pit strategy. I'm just kind of curious, has he got enough fuel? He's out. He's out of fuel.
He's got to be out.
He's out. Look at it.
Master class. Yep. He's done.
That thing is out of fuel on the back stretch, folks. I'm curious to get to talk to him because,
man, what a great that's a master class tonight, Joe. I'm impressed. I really am.
Whew.
That's awesome.
Man, was a good one here though. Get a word in with some of these guys, but that right there was awesome, man, to see. Like you said, he got in trouble early in the race.
Yeah.
Had to bounce back and just never gave up. Never gave up.
He was spinning through the grass on the front stretch. I think he was the 3rd caution, I believe, where he got in trouble, and never give up, baby, right?
Woo, absolutely. Let's bring up old Mantle up here. Let's get a word with him because he thought he might have had it.
All right, Bobby. It's Josh and Joe up in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, how you doing, guys?
Hey, doing great, man. Well, brought it home P3 tonight, man. Tell me about, your strategy. And Joe and I were up here, and we had our calculators, and smoke was coming out of our ears, and we were trying to figure out who was on the right strategy. But, man, you and Ghost looked like you were working together there saving fuel. Tell me about your run there.
Yeah, we were working great together. I kind of messed up my cue, and I went for a slow lap 1, and I was going to go for on lap 2. I got tight at a 2, slapped the wall, so there goes the Q. So pretty sure I started dead last, so my plan right from the beginning after that was just save. Try to see if I could keep that right front alive, which is really hard here. And we kept getting those early cautions, so I kept thinking, okay, well, top it up. I got nothing to lose. Try and prolong this as long as I can. And then it was actually Abe who told me, he's like, I think we can make it. So at one point, the two of us switched who was leading, and that allowed me to save more, and we were able to push it. But I had no idea that Josh and Zach were also saving that much too. Apparently, they were on fumes at the line, and Abe and I still had 2 to go. So we saved a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, you guys did a great job, man. Joe and I were sitting here. We thought the guys that had pitted around lap 57 were going to be the guys to watch, and then our attention kind of shifted to you and Ghost, and then we got under 5 to go, and Zachary and Josh were still out there. So just really good job by you guys saving fuel. Do you like those kind of strategy races, or would you prefer to just go out and let it eat?
I would prefer to let it go out and eat, but just with the way that queue went, and kind of, I was like, you know what, it can't hurt to try it. But no, normally I like to get a podium based on skill and just raw speed. So I'll take it. It's P3. It should keep me as the points leader for now. So I'm happy with that.
Well, that's right, man. There's nothing wrong with a podium finish. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
I got to shout out you guys. Love this broadcast. It's really good. Abe for working with me and coming up with that strategy with me. That was awesome. The guys on High Five, they're a lot of fun to talk to, hang out with during these Wednesday nights. And I got to shout out anyone that tuned in to watch. Appreciate you guys.
Awesome. Well, congrats again, Bobby, on a great finish tonight. And even though you got it on strategy, still a great night for you and good points night. And congrats on your finish, man.
Yep. Thank you.
Well, there you said, like you said, third place man. Well, Joshua, we were talking so much about Foudy, the next guy that we're going to bring up here in second place. He pitted at lap 51, so it was able to get across there. He saved even more fuel than what our winner did here tonight. So let's bring this guy up here, Joshua Gillian, and let you get a word with him.
All right. Joshua, it is strong name, by the way. This is Josh and Joe up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got Joe. Awesome.
Well, Josh, I mean, awesome job tonight, man. P2. Joe and I were talking up here in the booth. We weren't really expecting this to turn into such a fuel race, and I'll be the first one to apologize. We had you guys written off. We didn't think there was any way you guys were going to make it, and you actually ended up saving, I think, one more lap than the winner. So, tell us about your night and the strategy behind it.
Man, just to give you a heads up, I heard everything. I had y'all playing in the background on the second screen.
Perfect.
Well, I've been racing for a while, and I've known Joe for years now in another league. So all the reason why I'm here is Joe now.
I appreciate it.
I got caught up with 2 other guys and just sit there and drafted with them. Man, they was running hard. I was just easing into turn 1 and 2 with a clutch push. Man, that was it. That's the only turn I could even save in. I couldn't save in 3 and 4. I'd lose them.
Man, that's awesome. Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're one of the new guys in the league, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So how's the league been for you so far compared to maybe some of the other leagues that you've raced in?
Well, put it this way, I'm 14th in the points in another league that I normally race tonight, and I jumped over here to race this.
Okay, awesome. Well, we appreciate you being on board, man. The CRL is a special place, and I'm one of the guys that run on Monday nights, and Jacob's doing a great job with this league, so really glad to see you over here, man. And before I let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I'm going to try to touch base a few times with y'all in the truck series on Monday night, but I also run an ARCA Series Monday night, so it's kind of hard for me to swap up and keep my points up at the same time. But I gotta appreciate Kenyon being in the group chat with me the entire time. Me and him are just open drivers, no team, no nothing, just having fun. But I do have to say this is one of the cleanest racing leagues I have been in, especially if we're gonna go 88 laps at Talladega with no caution. That's a first in a long time for me.
Heck yeah, man. Well, we're glad to have you on board, man. You know, I know Joe always says it. It's in the name, right? Clean Racing League. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
So we're
right.
excited for you to be a part of things, man. And congratulations on a great finish tonight, man.
Yes, sir, man. Like I said, I want to appreciate y'all for doing the broadcast, and I got to appreciate the few that I have in the chat that comes and goes when they can.
There you go.
Great job, buddy.
Yeah, like I said, outstanding run tonight, man. Awesome fuel mileage. I mean, because, you know, we were talking about the winner out there, Foudy there, Altus, but Gillian right there, he was one lap before the leader, so he had to save even more to get up there and try and then to still hang on to it.
He went 34 laps, Joe. 34 laps on fuel.
Well, this guy right here, though, man, outlasting them all. Zach, join the move. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, I tell you what, at what point did you know you were going to be able to make it, and then at what point did you feel like, I don't know?
Oh, well, basically, I pit and I checked right away because initially I ran out of gas. I pit a little bit later than everybody else. I think I pit a lap after Danny, and I thought maybe I could make it because it was looking good. And then as the laps were winding down, I had no idea. I had pulled Siri up one time. I tried to find out the calculations and such, and I just...
Man's got a real calculator.
Yeah, I had to get out the calculator, yeah, because, dude, I just wasn't sure.
And now, you know, I know Josh out there asked one of the other drivers, do you prefer maybe like a fuel mileage style race, or did you just want this thing and just go all out?
It depends. I'm not really necessarily a driver that particularly tries to do a good like fuel strategy. I don't really come in with one. I kind of just typically I would pit with everybody else. But you know, whenever I got I spun out. Which I think that was on me. I spun out, and of course, because of that, I had a little bit of damage. I had like 9 seconds of damage. Had to go pit, put some new tires on, get some more gas. And at that point, I figured I'd just run kind of my own strategy, just kind of try and push it to the line.
Did you think your night was over with after that wreck?
To be honest, I wasn't quite sure. I knew I didn't sustain a lot of damage from it, but I definitely knew I was back in the field a little bit further. And I'm not really like a comfortable driver with Michigan. It's not a bad track. Not one of my favorites though, and so I wasn't too comfortable. Didn't think I'd really make it up as far as I did. So it did come as quite a surprise to be able to pull it off tonight.
Hey, I tell you what, like you said, me and Josh up here, we were racking our brain, man, on pit strategies and back and forth with numbers, but you made it. Now, did you run out coming across the line?
I did, yeah. I was sputtering coming across the line. Yeah, I did not have any gas in it for a burnout or anything fancy.
Wow, that's perfect. That's just right there. That's master class, like Josh said out there on how to do fuel mileage. And tonight, hey, win's a win. Got to take it, man. Got anybody you want to thank for an awesome, victory out here?
Yeah, I want to thank my dad, Seth Foudy, and my buddy Daniel Miller. They've been with me for a while running. I got into iRacing because of my dad, and then Daniel, he started racing a couple years ago and kind of brought me back into it a little bit. So I just want to thank those two guys. I want to thank God. He provides me with, I'm blessed to be able to afford to be able to do this hobby, and obviously the finish tonight couldn't happen without him.
There you go. Absolutely. The man tonight been able to outclass them all. Josh, now you can see some of the troubles I have up here on fuel mileage races, but it's outstanding and exciting to see, to try to figure out what these guys are going to do. And just to see what those top two guys did is phenomenal. Like you said earlier, some people, man, like races like that. Some like that just all out, who's got the fastest type of machine out here. But, hey, it was exciting nonetheless.
That's the beauty of racing, Joe. That's why we all show up every week, and you just never know what's going to happen, man. That's why you got to tune in each and every week on OSR Network, because you never know if it's going to turn into a fuel strategy race or if it's going to be a all-out slugfest with the heavy hitters and speed or what. But, man, I just want to say congratulations to Zachary Foudy, man. I mean, spun out, got in trouble early in the race, went spinning through the infield, and it could have been easy for him to kind of throw his hands up and say, well, that's not my night. But he came down pit road, he fixed the car, talked about kind of gave him an option to kind of run his own strategy. And I don't know if you listened ever to Denny Hamlin or his podcast or anything, but I think one thing that he said one time that kind of piqued my interest was, sometimes when you get into trouble early or there's something unexpected, it kind of allows you to kind of play a off strategy that normally maybe you wouldn't do. And it sounds like that's kind of what Zachary did tonight, and he stuck to the script, and he got a game plan together, and it worked out for him. So just huge congratulations to him. And again, like I said, I'll be the first one to admit it, man. I had those guys written off. I didn't think there was any way they could do it, but they proved us wrong, man, and they did it. So great job.
Absolutely, man. Like you said, well, we're going to leave here from Michigan for the Clean Racing League ARCA Series tonight, man. Got to appreciate all the sponsors out there. Jacob Grant's Designs, but Danny White for putting it on for us here tonight. For myself and everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.